Thank you. This morning I talked to a couple of people and somebody asked me what non-negotiables meant. Well, that made me totally, I'm talking about a good subject because not everybody knows. So I basically last March was in a retreat for a board that I was on, the National Speakers Association. And Sam Silverstein was our facilitator. And he helped us look at our values that we had as a board, and then our values that we wanted to take to our community and our chapter, and how we were going to do this. And we spent a whole day working on that. But during the process of that, Sam talked about the Happy State Bank of Texas. Now, wouldn't you love to have a business? And it's in Happy, Texas, so. But he really sparked an interest in me, and he basically told me that he wrote about that book, about that company in this book, Non-Negotiables. And basically it's about a man named Pat Hickman, and he is one of the founders of this bank, and his whole bank is run on non-negotiables. There's 20 non-negotiables. You follow, you work, you live those, is basically live those non-negotiables, or you don't work there. You're not a part of the community. And so I happened just to be leaving town the next day. And so I asked Sam, I said, do you have any of your books? Can I get it on Amazon? Where can I get it? And he said, well, I have some at the house. Why don't you come by? So I stopped by and got it. And I read it, and for those of you that might not know, I don't like to read, but I do read business books. I'm a collector of books more than a reader. And I read this book all the way up, and I finished it in the evenings because I was so enthralled in this book, and then reread what I could on the way back. And I have to say, this book changed my life. It's changed the way I look at myself and my actions, and how I live in the world. So the word responsible and accountable, and we're just going to, because I've got a lot to go through, so I just want to take a minute, and on your handout, those are the two words. And I'll just pick a couple people, but I'd like to think about those two words. Are they relatable? Are they interchangeable? What do they mean to you? So we'll just kind of just take a second and, kind of maybe jot down some thoughts, and we'll get some opinions for some of the people that are here. Okay, is there anybody that wants to share what their thoughts on? Now I know there's one person in the room that's going to hold up his hand, but we'll wait. We got somebody in the back. I thought it was going to be Dale.
Do what you said you were going to do.
Do what you said you were going to do. Okay. Anybody else? Well, go ahead. Oh, Dale's going to mention it. Yeah.
To me, responsible is a state of mind. It's a value that you have where your reputation is important to you, and consequently you act in a way that is responsible. People can count on you. Accountable is something that you can get externally by pairing up with somebody who will help you stay focused and hold you to the commitments that you've made to yourself or others.
Great explanation. Well, the way that Sam explains it in his book is that we are responsible for someone or something. So our actions, what we do, how we act, or people. We are responsible for our children to grow them up and teach them how to be great adults. And accountability is about being accountable to someone or to yourself. So accountability is, the non-negotiables is all about accountability. And it starts with your values. What are your values? Do you know what your values are? And then we take our values and then they become our beliefs. And our beliefs and the words that come around when you you really truly believe something, it's who you are inside, it's your trust, it's your authenticity, it's who you are and who you've become is from your beliefs. And then, so we take our beliefs and then we become what our beliefs are. That's who we are. That's what makes us who distinguish from somebody else, is because they're our beliefs. And then those beliefs are then drive our decisions. So we make decisions based on those beliefs that we really have. And then the actions. So decisions are then shape the actions that we create and the actions that we do. And it really is, we require actions. Action has, if we can have the belief, we think we can have the belief, but if our actions don't go with our beliefs, then it's really not a belief that we really truly live by. So it's really non-negotiables is about truth. So the one thing that I learned about non-negotiables is that we give up control when we don't have them, because then we live our lives by what everybody else is doing around us, and we're reacting versus living who we are. Our beliefs are what we control first. So we have to, it's what we truly believe is where it all starts. And then the beliefs are then what can develop our non-negotiables. I never really thought about having a non-negotiable. I know there's been times that I thought, oh, well, I wouldn't do that, or, but a lot of times we say the words, but our actions don't match those words. So non-negotiables are rare, is what Sam says. He said in industries, in corporations, and in individuals, they're very rare. And that's mainly because we haven't really deep down thought about our belief systems and really thought about what we believe in. And so it's really about the words and then the actions that we take. So it's really a bond, that non-negotiable that you create is a bond in yourself. And it's a bond that you have to, that should not go away, should not change for any circumstance. So most of us brought up with the golden rule, right? Do unto others and I remember that still on the rulers that I got in grade school. I always believed in that. But when I've thought about non-negotiables, I've not always lived it. So just because you say it or you think this is a good idea doesn't mean it's a belief of yours, and it doesn't mean it's a non-negotiable. So think about customer service. How many companies out there say, we have excellent customer service, but then you go and work with them and it's not the case. So the interesting thing about the non-negotiables is what we say, we need to act and we need to believe. And it's not about the excuses. We can't be saying, oh, well, this time I'm going to make an exception if you truly create a non-negotiable. So here are my non-negotiables after reading that book. So first, and this was even before the book, I did have a non-negotiable. Family is always first. Second one is to live my word or don't give it. So what I've learned around this is to, before I say yes, before I say, can I help you with that, I take time to really think about, can I fulfill that word? And if I can't fulfill that word, then I should not give it. To do the right thing. I really feel like integrity is, that you should always do the right thing, even if it's not in my best interest. I should always do the right thing. And I should give back, I should give without expectations. I should give to people without them being able to require a payback in some way of my time, my money, and energy. And expectations, I think, has driven a lot of things in my life when I've really learned about them a long time ago, to not have expectations of how other people should act. It's about expectations about how I should act. And then the golden rule. I made sure that this is now one of my non-negotiables, to do unto others as I would have them do unto you. So those are my non-negotiables. Now, am I perfect? No. Will you be perfect? Probably not. But you know what? I will be closer to being perfect than I've ever been before. Because now I'm aware, and now I really know what I believe, I know what I believe, and I know how I want to be. So the thing about non-negotiables is there is no problem that can't be solved. Because if you know that problem and you look at your non-negotiables and you follow those non-negotiables, your problem will direct you in the right path and take you down the right road to be able to solve that problem based on those non-negotiables. So it empowers us. I feel very empowered by that. I feel very empowered by thinking about, I really truly know where I stand and what my purpose is. So, what are your values? And there is on your handout on the other page, there's basically a list of values. And there's many more values than what's on here. But when I work with my clients and I help them through that, so you can take this home, and the great way to do it is just go through and check all the ones that resonate with you. And then start narrowing them down until you get to 3 to 5. And that you really, truly encompass who you are. And that's where you want to start, is with your values, and really know, then you can create your non-negotiables from those values, because you now know what you really believe and what you stand for. So I'm going to open it up for questions before I finish up.
What was the author's name of the book?
It's Sam Silverstein. He is from St. Louis. And he is a national, international speaker. And his book here is, it's The Story of the Happy State Bank and the Power of Accountability.
Cathy?
Yes.
It almost seems to me that media is working in the opposite direction of what you just said, right? I mean, all the hype, I mean, it seems like there's very little emphasis on accountability and responsibility. Any thoughts about that? I'm just thinking of young people who are being bombarded by all of this. Do you agree, and how do we deal with that?
Well, I think we start with ourselves. We start with ourselves, and we really know what our non-negotiables are. And there's a couple of wonderful stories in this book that will really drive home what a non-negotiable is. And I think that it's our leadership that we just have to show, and we have to, show it to other people. And, I try to help my daughter with that. After I read the book, I gave her a copy of the book. I've had her tell her to put it on her boss's desk because he really highly needs it. But I mean, I have bought at least 12 of these books and given them to people because it has impacted my life so much. So I think it's just about really just sharing with everybody and getting people to really commit to finding their non-negotiables. Yes, Dale?
Yeah, this is more an observation than a question, but one of the things that I find intriguing, you started your presentation talking about the challenge that you faced. Jim talked about the challenge that he faced, and it's fascinating to me, always fascinating to me, that people's strengths often end up being the result of the greatest challenges they faced in their lives and having overcome them. So
Right.
Just keep in mind, it's something that you may be very good at today. Maybe the source may have been the challenge you had earlier, and realize that and use it to your advantage.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so again, the book Non-Negotiables by Sam Silverstein. So again, I wanted to remind you that it starts with our values. Then it goes into our beliefs, and then it's our actions become our non-negotiables. And just to kind of put something just in perspective here, so something that he talked about in the program that we did that day with him is he said, you know, well, and I don't remember who he pointed to, you might have said me, you know, somebody else, but he said, you know, you made an appointment with somebody, or you're going to go out to dinner with, I'm going to go out to dinner with Cynthia, and we made an appointment, oh, you know, just casual. But then somebody else calls and says, hey, I got tickets to the Fox, would you like to go? Well, if I've committed to her, I'm not being true to myself or true to her by not standing for what I said I would do. And I just thought that was a perfect example, because I think we've all done that at some point, sometime. So my question to you is, what are your non-negotiables? And do you have them? Do you want them? And will you live them? So thank you.